In 1938, a 29-year-old British stockbroker canceled his ski holiday. What he did instead saved the lives of 669 children. He never spoke about it for 50 years. His own wife did not know. The British government did not know. The children he saved did not know he existed. This is the story of Nicholas Winton, the man history forgot, and the moment, 50 years later, that history remembered him. December 1938. Nazi Germany had just annexed the Sudetenland. Czechoslovakia was collapsing. Jewish families across Prague knew what was coming. They had seen what happened in Austria, they had seen what happened in Germany, and they knew that what was coming for their children would be worse than anything they could describe. Nicholas Winton was not a politician. He was not a diplomat. He was not a soldier. He was a 29-year-old stockbroker from London who had been planning a ski trip to Switzerland. A friend sent him a letter. It said simply, "Forget the skiing. Come to Prague. There is something you need to see." What Winton saw when he arrived changed everything. Refugee camps overwhelmed with families, children sleeping in unheated buildings, parents who knew they were going to be taken and who had no way to save their children. Winton did not go home. He set up a makeshift office in his hotel room, and he began to work. Winton had no official backing, no government support, no organization behind him. He created one himself. He called it the British Committee for Refugees from Czechoslovakia Children's Section. He was the entire children's section. Working from his hotel room and then from his mother's house in London, Winton did several things simultaneously that should have been impossible. He found British families willing to take in refugee children. He raised the £50 guarantee, equivalent to several £1,000s today, required by the British government for each child. He forged documents when the paperwork could not be obtained in time. He bribed officials. He negotiated with the Gestapo. He advertised in British newspapers, asking families to take in Jewish children from Czechoslovakia. And he organized 8 trains out of Prague, through Germany, through the Netherlands, across the Channel, to London. Between March and August 1939, 7 of those 8 trains made it. 669 children arrived safely in Britain. The 8th train was scheduled for September 1st, 1939. It was the largest of them all. It was carrying 250 children. On September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland. Every border in Europe closed within hours. The train never left Prague. None of the 250 children on that train are known to have survived the war. Winton came home. He married. He had children. He worked. He volunteered for local causes. He said nothing about Prague, not to his friends, not to his colleagues, not to his children, not to his wife. For 50 years, a leather satchel sat in the attic of his house in Maidenhead. Inside it was a scrapbook, photographs of 669 children, their names, the families who took them, the trains that carried them, the documents, some forged, that made it possible. In 1988, his wife Greta found the scrapbook while clearing the attic. She did not know what she was holding. She contacted the Holocaust Museum at Yad Vashem in Jerusalem. They identified the names. They found the children, now in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, living across Britain, the United States, Canada, and Israel. They had spent their lives not knowing who had saved them. Greta contacted the BBC program That's Life, hosted by Esther Rantzen. They planned something Winton did not know was coming. In 1988, Nicholas Winton was 79 years old. He was invited to be a guest in the audience of That's Life, a popular BBC television program. He did not know why he had been invited. He sat in the audience as Esther Rantzen held up his scrapbook on national television and began to describe what it contained. The names, the trains, the children. Then Rantzen asked a question of the audience. She said, "Is there anyone in the studio tonight who owes their life to Nicholas Winton? Pause for effect. Please stand up." The woman sitting next to Winton stood up, then the man behind him, then the entire row, then the entire studio audience rose to its feet. Every single person in that room was a child. Nicholas Winton had put on a train 50 years earlier. Winton sat in his seat. He could not speak. He looked around the studio at the faces of people who were alive because he had canceled a ski holiday in 1938. He had never met any of them. He had not known whether any of them had survived. He had not known whether any of them even knew he existed. Now he knew. Nicholas Winton was knighted in 2003 at the age of 93. He lived to be 106 years old, dying in 2015. In the decades after the BBC broadcast, he was recognized by governments, institutions, and the children he saved, who by then had grandchildren of their own. It is estimated that today, more than 6,000 people are alive because of what Nicholas Winton did in 8 months in 1938 and 1939. He called it unfinished business, the train that never left, the 250 children he could not save. He thought about them for the rest of his life. History did not erase Nicholas Winton intentionally. He erased himself, out of modesty, out of habit, out of a quiet belief that what he did was simply what anyone would have done. He was wrong about that. And that is exactly why this story belongs on this channel, because the people who save the world rarely announce it. And because the only thing standing between a story and silence is someone willing to tell it. Subscribe to The Erased. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, another story someone forgot to tell. Share this with one person who has never heard the name Nicholas Winton. That is how we make sure it never happens again.